Hi, I'm Davy,
And I'm Carolyn.
and we're just two Asian women having candid conversations about whatever the hell we want to talk about with an intersectional flair.
That being said, today we're going to talk about feminism in the workplace and capitalist feminism, such as girl boss culture and MLMs. So get comfy and stick around.
Hey, everybody, my name's Davy, and I'm from Long Beach, California. I'm Cambodian American, and you might hear panting. This is Ponzu. And do you want me to get her out if it's like,
Oh no, I love Punzu.
okay, sounds good.
She should be here.
All right, sounds good. If you hear panting, that is our family dog, Ponzu. She's half Chow Chow, half Husky.
And my name is Carolyn. I'm Laotian American, born and raised in San Diego, and I'm a Gemini. Today, we're going to be talking about feminism, specifically in the workplace. But since we are talking about feminism, I thought it would be good to start off the episode by talking about what is feminism to us, just so that we're all on the same page here.
One of my definitions I like to use a lot is from Emma Watson's because it's just so simple is that feminism is equality, economic equality, political and social equality for men and women or women and men.
Honestly, I vibe with that. That is exactly how I feel about it too. Like feminism to me is just the dismantling of the patriarchy that continues to oppress anyone who is not a straight cis white man.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean that's true. Patriarchy or like patriarchal structures like what's the word?
Benefit?
Thank you. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
benefit the most. But a little bit of patriarchy benefits a little bit of everyone, just so that we stay allured by its fanciness. But it's just oppression.
Yeah, exactly. And we are also looking through the lens of intersectional feminism as well. And what does that even mean? It means that we're looking at the struggles of not just white women that tend to be the standard for, well, white women, but also looking at how the patriarchy affects women of color as well.
Exactly. So I mean, we say it every fucking episode. We look at it from an intersectional flare. That's what exactly we're talking about. So we're fighting for everyone. We're fighting for all genders, stuff like that. As everyone should, to be quite honest.
Exactly. And I really think that feminism is like always listening and learning because before I didn't know about white feminism or like how the dollar affected it always I feel like the conversation's always like, okay, white men make this much and then white women make this much, but then you forget how little like Asian Latinx women and then black women and indigenous people make versus a white woman, you know? Like so that's an example of intersectional feminism.
Exactly. So we're going to talk about our experiences as professional women, and well, to be quite honest, I don't really have any experiences of like sexism in the workplace or any professional space. In my opinion, to be quite honest, like I've worked with fucking assholes before, but it wasn't really tied to any feminist thought. So I'll let you take the lead on that, Duffy.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to talk about an experience I had at one of the previous places I worked. And I basically got a coworker fired for chronically harassing colleagues.
Mm-hmm.
And how is this like a feminist perspective on this or situation? I'll give you the thesis basically. He was constantly asking out our female coworkers
Ew.
and yeah, just, being creepy. But, I feel like a lot of people kind of are bystanders and kind of just like, oh, like he's just weird or he always does that, haha, laugh it off. Boys will be boys type shit.
Yep.
But there was a breaking point. So a lot of us like to go to bars after work and just, hang out, decompress. And when he gets drunk, he gets like really aggressive. And that's been a pattern. And I'll talk about like what led up to it and then the final thing that blew up that made me report him. The
Yeah.
first instance was a few years ago. I was with my boyfriend at the time, my ex, and I went to a Thanksgiving party with my coworkers, and I wasn't there with my ex. And I'll just call my colleague who's annoying harasser, Jason. Jason has already had quite a few beers when I have arrived at the party, and he drunkenly goes up to me. He was like, "Hey, Davi, like, what's your number?" And he knows I'm with my boyfriend, right?
Okay.
And then I was like, I'll give you my email Jason, but I'm not giving you my number. And then I walk away to the kitchen, got my Thanksgiving meal. Um, and then as I come out again to the backyard, in front of like a handful of my coworkers, he goes, Davi, earlier you made me feel like a pervert. And I was just like, "Oh my god." I was like, "What the fuck are you doing right now?" And then I just walked away. Like, okay, it's my fault that I hurt your fragile ego because I didn't wanna give you my fucking number. Like,
Mhm.
that is so unprofessional of him. First of all, to like oh my first of all, him to even ask, and
Mhm.
2, for him to, like, paint this weird picture that people have no pretext about.
I just feel so satisfied because I love it when bad people expose themselves like that. Like out
Yeah.
in public too. I'm like, oh my God, you're so embarrassing, but like I hate you. So I love that for you. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like honestly, any reasonable person who knows Jason
Mhm.
because he is a chronic creep
Uh-huh.
is like he says bullshit like that, and everybody looks around at each other like, but you are. You know what I mean?
Right, totally, and then after that, he just didn't leave me alone, like, I was in a circle with friends, and he, like, would be, like, right behind me, like, in my like, next to my ear, but, "Hey, guys, what's going on?" Like, just
Yeah.
annoying me, like, that's his way of flirtation, is very aggressive, but it's not the way, bro, and not to me, bro, like, back off because you're ugly, you know?
Inside and out.
Yeah, so it was just, like, frustrating because, just annoying, and a lot of people know it, but it's like no one's ever really, like, "Hey, stop," you know? At least so in front of my eyes. I wanted to, like, say something because he's asked out multiple of our female coworkers, as I said, but he has status at our work. He first of all, he is one of the coaches after,
Mhm.
sports coaches, I won't say which sport, but
Mhm.
and he also last year that previous year, won an award for, like, one of the best employees in our program. So I was just like
Wow.
yeah, so he's very well liked, in a lot of different fronts. So, that as a woman,
Mhm.
that's hard to report when you're feeling a lot of pressure and you might get backlash. We had a new coworker months later, and she's really cool. I'll call her, Jessie. We have another outing where we get drinks. He's drunk again, and then he's, like, verbally harassing Jessie, kinda, like, disparaging her 2 cities that she adores, and she got really upset, and he was, like, all up in her face and, like, just being annoying, like, "Dobby, Dobby, Dobby, Jessie, Jessie, Jessie." And the next day, like, she was just still so pissed,
Yeah.
and she, like, told him, "Jason, get out my face, like, do not talk to me like this, da, da, da."
Yeah.
And, and that year, I was actually leaving so I can go to, get my credential, and I just told my boss. It was, like, the last straw for me to see someone that hurt from it and so affected by it and still continues this long, and
Mhm.
also I thought, "What do I have to lose? I'm already leaving."
Mhm.
So, I told my boss, and she was shocked by this, like, she's like, "No one has told me about any of his behavior," and I was like, "Yikers,"
Yeah.
and then she tried to talk to him about his drinking, and also California law says, like, if there is any, like, harassment inside or outside of work, you can still get fired or potentially get fired for that,
Exactly.
and so she tried to talk my boss tried to talk to Jason about his you know, aggression and harassment. What happened was he actually called one of our coworkers and was like, "Who told our boss that, like, I know what happened?" Like, he was very angry, and he, like, wanted to know who it was, and I was scared, like, he wanted vengeance or something.
He's about to shoot up the place or some
Yeah,
shit.
I know, exactly. So I was really, worried, and then he wasn't fired yet, but then my friend who was really pissed, Jason was yelling at Jesse, wrote in a written statement. My other friend, the different friend who got called up by Jason, was really worried. She's like, "Why is he calling me about this?" And then wrote
Yeah.
another statement about how he called her and harassed, bothered her about it. And then a culmination of all that, he finally gets fired.
Good.
But only as that role, he was still a coach
Oh
after
God.
but anyway, that was that situation, and it was scary because even after, I still felt, like, vulnerable, and I thought he would find my place and, like, I don't know, hurt me somehow.
Those people are fucking like they have a lot of issues that they will
Mhm.
take out on other people. The violence against women is very real. So
Yeah,
the
it
fact
is.
that you feel that way is reasonable to be quite honest.
Yeah, exactly, and I was very proud of my coworkers because they were all women who, we banded together and we're like, "This is not right, and this should not be happening." and he was given a chance and he blew it.
Yeah, it's like I hate that he wasn't fired because like what the fuck is it gonna take to tell y'all that he is literally making everyone so uncomfortable? And I'm
Mhm.
not saying that word in like a oh you said something mean that hurt my feelings, like
Uh-huh.
literally harassment.
Yeah,
Okay?
harassment, hostile, cause after the time where he called me a pervert,
Yeah.
the next, like, weeks, he and I did not talk, and I felt hostile because I was like, "Why aren't you talking to me?" Like, and then anyway, but yeah.
Yeah, it's literally not professional. And like what Davi mentioned earlier, it's like even though it was like outside of the workplace at a party, like y'all are still coworkers, even off the clock.
Mhm.
So
Exactly.
like whatever you're doing off the clock, it better not be some shit, okay?
It better not be some shit because guess what? They did it outside the clock and it's affecting them still, okay? So,
Yeah.
my colleague, like, whenever I see other people hurt, I will do something about it. For me, I don't not so much, I don't really give a shit. But for her to see her rage and how she was still affected several days after, I was like, "Fuck this. This is stupid. Like, I'm standing up for what happened. This cannot happen again."
As you should, yeah.
Yeah.
And let's get that y'all got together because there's power in numbers. And if
Mhm.
anybody out there is like in that situation right now, document everything. You need to put it on
Yes.
paper,
Yes.
either email or like literal paper. You need to write down this happened this time, this
The
happened
time
this time.
approximately at 10:30 PM.
Yep.
Want to get other witnesses, honestly, that helped.
Get other witnesses because again, power in numbers. And then you need to fucking report them. Like who the fuck cares if a bad person loses their job? Like the links like corporations or like businesses or what have you will go to protect men is like honestly outstanding and not in a good way.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. That was my dramatic incident where I used, I couldn't take it no more.
And y'all definitely should report it. Is will you get backlash? There is like the potential for that, to be quite honest, like a very valid potential for that. Because again, they will protect a man with their
Mhm.
whole life. I don't know why. Even if they did something and you're like, oh, it'll probably be fine. Like it will not be fine. Harassers will always harass. It will absolutely happen again.
Yes.
The confidence that they had to harass you, is always going to stay with them.
Absolutely. That's why I felt like he needed to be held accountable.
Mm-hmm.
And if he didn't want to admit his fault because he was not, he was delusional.
Yeah.
Then that absolutely showed his character, and it just reaffirmed it for me.
That fucking sucks. And even
Mhm.
like, I like that he was fired, but like not fired. So
Yeah, same.
that is not very satisfying.
It's not.
I guess the best case is him like learning his lesson, but I don't know. I've never seen that happen, but I stay optimistic because I have
For
to.
sure. Same, same. But yeah, that's that.
Yeah, it's just hard because you're out there just trying to exist as a
Yes,
woman.
just do my fucking job,
Yep,
support my other coworkers.
yep. And then you have to deal with some bullshit like fucking male coworkers hating on you, which is so annoying.
Mhm.
Like you came to work to be professional. Some people find their spouses at work like cute for them, I guess,
Yeah.
but you're trying to be professional at work.
Yeah, and, like, I'm sure people are like, "Well, then, like, how is it like, what is the line? Like, can I even ask out my coworker? Blah, blah, blah." It's like, "Hey, bitch,
Mm-hmm.
bigger picture. Yes, you can ask out your coworker." Like, that's had happened to me, and I went on a date, but the boundary was just crossed so many fucking times, okay? Like, outside of work, inside of work. I talked to all my other female workers, and almost, like, 100% of them were like, "Yes, he's asked me out or hit on me." You know?
Still,
So, yeah, like, that's the difference.
yes. Us trying to make our money, which is not as much money as men out there, but
Mhm.
we're out here trying to make money, sometimes working a double shift because we got to go home and take care of like children if you have children as well,
Yep.
or any other responsibilities that are usually given to like women in people's lives, that are not traditionally given to men, which is unfortunate. So I feel like in the workplace, it's like a lot of other things that women need to deal with.
Yes.
And I'm not trying to like victimize ourselves. Like, of course, we are strong women doing our thing, but it's just the reality of it, and it would be so much easier if that were not the reality.
Yeah, so I guess the main lessons I learned, Carolyn kind of touched on, is like if you have that instinct, try to push yourself and report.
Mm-hmm.
Have documentation, band together, and keep on reporting. Because what happens is if it's just one report, most people kind of like, okay, maybe there's like a one-off instance. However, if like everyone came forward and they had reported all the times he's done it, that's pattern, and that's like, oh dang, he's a serial like harasser. You know what I'm saying?
Literally, it's like if you watch Criminal Minds. Sorry, I have to bring it up.
I love criminal. I'll do it. It's science, baby.
If you watch Criminal Minds, or at least are just familiar with like crime scene investigations and people looking at serial killers, like they need documentation that they have killed multiple people to like actually get on the case. Like they don't get the serial killer before they start killing, which is unfortunate. But it's like that's why it's so important to report any little thing, because the paper trail is powerful.
It really is. It really is.
Mm-hmm. So keep that little book on your desk and keep an eye out.
Yeah, because I imagine like if it was just I who had told my supervisor about it, she was literally shocked. She was like, "Why hasn't anyone told me about this?" She has to literally go press people about it. She's like, have you noticed this?"
Yeah.
um, I felt like it would have not had him fired, right? Not because she's a bad person, but she's just like trying to like, but like, what the hell is going on? Like, I need to understand, have a better picture.
And
Yeah.
honestly, I kind of understand where she's coming from. Should she have kept a better eye on like what's going on over there? Like, yes, but if she doesn't know, then she doesn't know.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
We did want to talk a bit about like capitalist feminism too, because I just think it's so interesting. I feel like capitalist feminism is like the first cousin of white feminism. Because it's like this weird idea that like if you are a rich woman, you are the epitome of feminism.
Yeah, it's really a bizarre concept. You know, some people believe that just because you're a woman, you're automatically feminist.
Yeah.
Or just because you're a female CEO, that means you already know how to treat women well. Like you're not misogynistic or you're not sexist, which is completely false. Have you heard of like internalized sexism, internalized misogyny?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and yeah, let's break that down and how that ties in with like capitalism because oh my goodness, it is connected like millions of strings. Like I feel like.
Yeah, so like when we talked about it at the top of the episode, what is feminism to us? Feminism is about like empowering everyone out of the patriarchy, right?
Mhm.
Out of the like creepy, like gross claws of the patriarchy.
Mhm.
So if you are a woman and you just happen to be rich because I don't know, you do your thing, blah blah blah. Well,
Mhm.
what the fuck does that even mean? You're not even helping anyone. You're just rich. Like, good for you, I
Yeah.
guess. So that's why it's bad. If you want to go out and help people, help them and their finances, then that's great. But to make feminism centered around your own gains, it kind of, in my opinion, defeats the whole purpose of feminism. When we talk about capitalist feminism, we're talking about like girl boss culture or like boss babe culture. And I hate the word girl boss because look, when I say the word girl, I'm talking about a literal girl, a child. Okay.
Mhm.
You can only be a girl boss if you are like under 17 and maybe you have your own LLC. Then literally you are okay, a boss who's
Yeah.
a girl. But otherwise, if you're an adult, you are a fully grown woman. And if you are still out there calling women girls, questionable.
It
Very
really
questionable.
is. It irks me too because people be calling women who are like 30, 40 girls still. And I'm like, I never ever go to a bar and like be like, "Ooh, look at those boys."
I know that's just creepy.
Like who what the fuck?
Mhm.
Like I think the problem with it too is like what's the word? Infantilization.
Yep.
Like can you explain that a little bit more? I just don't like it, but I don't really
Mhm.
know how to explain why that's problematic.
Yeah, infantilization of women just like believing that they are not capable, the little babies, the little princesses that need dresses and blah blah blah, stuff like that. And
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
I am a literal adult woman right now, okay?
Mhm.
I am fine. If you want to do something nice for me, like open the door, I would love that. But to prime your mind with the infantilization of women through the use of your language is problematic. And maybe you just say girl because that's what you've grown up using. Okay. But just use the word girl and then think of a child. Okay.
Yeah.
So girl boss is almost like an infantilization of like women leaders out there, like powerful, successful women leaders who are actually like doing something good for the world.
Mhm.
If they want to call themselves girl bosses, I mean, I find that kind of questionable, but I suppose they could call themselves what they want. But I would encourage everyone to steer away from that type of mindset, because that kind of girl boss, boss babe, me centered feminism
Mhm.
is what drives like toxicity in the workplace that is centered around women. So what I mean by that, kind of like with MLM culture, like it targets women because they know that like they're usually at home taking care of the kids and they don't have a job because
Mhm.
they've agreed to take care of the kids basically, but they still want work. MLMs will feed them that like boss babe, girl
Narrative.
boss narrative. Thank you. Yeah, that kind of lifestyle to them in order to trap them in a losing game that an MLM is.
Absolutely. So MLM stands for multi-level marketing,
Mhm.
and it's kind of similar to a pyramid scheme. I don't really know how it's that different. I think it's just ML pyramid schemes rebranded,
I
but
agree.
but some people might use like more positive connotations such as social, like selling or social marketing, etc.
Mhm.
for MLMs. But the reason why they are problematic in a lot of different ways is that, like Carolyn said, they're targeting like vulnerable women who don't have jobs. And the system of MLMs are like a triangle. So it really benefits the ones who are on top. So for example, the first time I've ever really seen like an MLM product is shampoo. I actually bought it off of my roommate a while ago because she's like, hey, like I'm selling shampoo, do you want to test them out and see if you like them? Like, she was telling me it'll make my hair thicker, etc.
Mhm.
because I have thin hair. So I tried
Mhm.
it and I was like, okay, this is cool, but like I don't really notice that much of a difference. But I was like, just, being nice. I was like, you know what, I'll help you out. Cause at the time she was driving for Uber
Mhm.
and trying to make ends meet. But the reason why it's so bad is because, first of all, you have to spend a lot of money to even buy the product to sell. So it's not even free. Some people spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars buying these products in hopes of selling it and making money. There's no certainty that they'll be selling these and no protection if they cannot sell all of them. And then secondly is that why it's a little bit insidious is because the people who are recruiting you tend to be people maybe from high school or something. And they kind of like reel you in and like, yeah, like we're friends, right? We're gonna help each other out. Like you're gonna sell, like I'll make some money if you get other people, like you'll make money off of their sales, etc. So it's kind of like this false sense of partnership and community they have, but really it's only tied and based upon profits. And maybe you make a few friends. I don't know. I can't say that. I cannot like disqualify that. But what do you think, Carolyn?
MLMs are like fucking bullshit. I mean, you explained everything. It's literally rebranded pyramid schemes. All the money flows to the top, and maybe you're watching this and you're like, maybe I could be to the top. Maybe I'll be the one on top. Yes, you will be. Maybe you will be on top, but you will do so at the expense of selling a fake narrative to like low income women of color, essentially. Like you are doing so by stepping over the bodies of, your fellow people, essentially.
Mhm.
So even if you do end up successful, like, I don't know, you can't just do you because it wasn't just you. You had to extract the resources and life out of somebody to do that.
Yeah,
That's why there's no way you could win, in my opinion.
absolutely. And it's really predatory, because let's say I recruit Carolyn to my
Mhm,
fucking, I don't know, lollipop business or some shit.
mhm,
Like my lollipop MLM. I have preyed on her, and then
mhm,
eventually the victim will have to be the predator too, so
mhm.
that she can make money.
Maybe some people would think, well, like that's just the way it is. That is not just the way it
No.
is. Like you could go out and have a decent lifestyle, having a decent job, an honest job that doesn't center around exhausting all of your social ties, therefore making you even more lonely than you are, without surrounding yourself with toxic work harder type of people. Um, and without constantly striving for this unattainable dream just so that they could milk more money out of you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think MLM culture is like the epitome of capitalist feminism, because they're always just trying to sell people a lifestyle in which you could be rich, and they frame it as like, oh, but I'm helping you be rich. They're not helping you, they're helping themselves.
Exactly. And I don't know, y'all, but listen, I know I'm an Aquarius and I'm supposed to be like perceptive and like intuitive, but it's scammy AF. Like, how do you not feel like they just want to like take your credit card,
Mhm.
and get money out of you?
I actually went to one of those like MLM recruiting meetings
Yes, I
once.
was gonna ask Carolyn, have you been, have
Yes,
you
absolutely. I
experienced
feel
it?
like that's like a bingo check out of like the Game of Life card. Been to one MLM recruitment meeting.
You haven't lived if you haven't.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like I went there and I'm all like, okay, everyone's like really friendly. This is kind of
Uh,
weird.
yeah.
People are talking, they're all very charismatic, of course, and they're all claimed to be really rich, so good for them. And I was listening and I'm all like, I don't know, this is literally too good to be true. Like it sounds too,
Right.
it's too easy. And most things, not everything, most
Mhm.
things in life are pretty simple, I would say, but not easy.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're setting it up that way, I'm all like, I don't know, this is literally a pyramid scheme. Like I've learned about this. And then after the meeting end, they're like, oh, what do you think?
Hmm.
And I was like, yeah, it sounds interesting.
Hmm.
Um, and then they're like, well, all you got to do is sign this contract, sign right here, sign right now, sign it now. And I'm like, I think I'm gonna read it. And they're like, well, what do you have questions about? And I'm like, I just want to
Oh.
read it. And they're like, well, if you sign right now, we could like get you on a team right away. It'll help. I'm
Oh my
like,
God.
it'll be good. Don't
Reflection.
worry about me. I'll be fine.
Oh, they're
Uh,
pushers, aren't they?
they are pushers, and in the wrong way.
Hmm.
Um, the over enthusiasm was definitely a red flag. They definitely prey on lonely people because they're all so nice to me. And I was like, damn, if I had no friends, of course I'd want to keep hanging out with
Hmm.
them. Like they are so warm and nice. Like they nailed that. They perfected that technique.
Absolutely.
And the fact that they wanted me to sign something without me reading, do I do that like every other day
Red
with
flag.
terms of services on websites? Yes, of course I do that. But I'm not going to do it for this random ass contract. Like I want to read it. Money is involved.
Exactly.
Yeah, and sometimes I hear people talk about like, oh, I met this really nice person today. And I'm all like, interesting. What do they want? And they're like, well, they're talking about going to this like little party they're having at their house, and it's like a business thing, and I don't know them, but they're really nice. And I'm all like, honestly, I would recommend you don't even go because it sounds like a fucking scam.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I would say people who are that nice to you and they barely know you are compensating for something.
Oh, interesting. What do you mean?
Like, well, I'm trying to think. So I'd be delivering food, right? And some people tip, and then some people don't tip. A lot of the people who like customers who strike up a conversation with me, like kind of like a medium to long conversation, are super nice and compliment me on stuff. They end up not giving me a tip. So I'm just like, why did you just have this full on ass conversation with me to not tip me? Like, you
Mhm.
could have just given me. I just should have given to you, and I could have just left.
Yep.
So I
Yep.
guess what I'm saying is like they are really nice because they need to overcompensate for what they're trying to offer.
Yeah, the ulterior motive.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you definitely need to listen to your gut, but like I feel like a lot of people's gut instincts, or maybe like I can't speak for like a cis man, but I could speak as a cis woman. I feel like a lot of people always like get gut instincts are like beaten out of them when
Mhm.
they're young. And it's like when a boy is being mean to you in elementary school, people are like, oh, well, they just like you. And I'm like, well, I have a bad feeling about them though. You're they like me? You
Yeah,
know, stuff like that. So it's maybe we shouldn't be as accepting to everything.
absolutely. Yeah, I feel like for me, there's like pressure to like at least check it out. But
Yeah.
now I'm like, if I'm not interested, I'm like, no. So for example, like the only extent to which I have experience with MLMs is random ass high school classmates like messaging me years after we graduated, and it's like, hey, have you heard of this, blah blah blah, or hey, hey, I went to this meeting, are you interested in going? And I, before, a younger Dobby would like be like, oh, I'm not sure, what is it about, like, ask about, even though I didn't give a shit. But now I just don't even respond, because you don't need to even respond to them.
No, you don't.
Like, that's how like confident or self-assured you can be, is that if someone's trying to hit you up, you don't even have to respond. Don't ever feel like you have to, because guess what? They don't have to sell you this shit either, and they are.
Yes. Yes. So I just hate capitalist feminism because it's just like a pseudo feminism that like feminists, fake feminists can easily buy into. And all they have to do is be rich and then not do anything else.
Hmm.
And of course, Davi and I are trying to make like our own money moves too. And I love that for us. But we understand that there's more to do with our like talents and our skills than just making ourselves rich, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And I just feel like people already give a lot of feminist flack. Like, people don't believe that it's actually a thing, or they hella undermine it, because guess what? It's the structure of sexism and misogyny. And it's like capitalistic feminism just makes it even harder. It makes
Mm-hmm.
it even fucking harder. It makes it so diluted. And it's just like, no, 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 that's not what it is. Really, no, stop, come back to this side, and like, or not this side, but come back to this perspective. And it's just tough, because it's really frustrating when people are genuinely trying to make all women's and men's lives better, and they're just making it so much harder. So like, like, what I mean, for example, is Girl Boss, which is the founder and CEO of the clothing company Nasty Gal. She uses the Girl Boss like quasi feminism thing as her brand, right? However, she's not upholding the ideals of feminism. For example, the CEO of Nasty Gal fired her employee because they were pregnant and
Oh my
didn't want to
God.
give them, yeah,
It's
marital, not,
literally illegal.
yeah, didn't want to give them not child support, what's it called?
Maternity leave?
Maternity leave, yeah. There's like a lot of scandals with that. And then it's funny too, when people say this quote, nothing bad happens when women have more money. And it's like, I get the sentiment, I really do. But no, just because you're a woman and you have money does not make you a feminist. Also, or just doesn't inherently mean you'll do good things with it. For example, Elizabeth Holmes, remember that weirdo?
Yep.
She, blonde hair, yeah, wore a black turtleneck, wanted to be Steve
Steve
Jobs,
Jobs. Yeah.
so fucking weird, and faked her deep ass voice and like claimed and scammed so many people.
Mhm.
Theranos, remember, people when she like claimed a prick of blood can like do test results and stuff like that.
Right.
Like, that is not an example of women, of nothing bad happening when women have more money.
Hmm.
Sorry, that's a little bit off topic, but I'm just saying, like, just because you're a woman doesn't mean you automatically treat women well, or just because you're automatically feminist. Like, men can be feminists, women can be feminists, women can be misogynistic, and men can be misogynistic, you know? Ugh,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's like women are not, just because you're a woman doesn't mean you are removed from accountability for your actions
Yes.
regarding like sexist things you've done, misogynistic things you've done. Yeah, what really bothers me is when like a woman is like doing something like sexist or questionable, and
Hmm.
then other people start calling them out like, what the fuck are you doing? And then that woman is like, oh my God, why are you being mean to me? We're all women. We need to live, laugh,
Right.
love.
Like support each
We
other.
gotta support each other. Buy my detox tea, you
I
know?
know, right?
And it's like, oh my God, you're so dumb right now.
I know, right? Exactly. Just to give you an even like more exaggerated example, it's like trying to defend a woman who's sex trafficking other women. It's
Yep.
like, but I'm a woman. Shouldn't you support my business ventures? Oh my God.
Everyone can be misogynistic,
Yeah.
and that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And look, we all grow up in like a patriarchal, like racist society. So just like what we said in our like couple anti-racist episodes,
Mm-hmm.
we all grow up with racist ideas just because we grow up in a racist society. Closely tied with that, we all grow up in a patriarchal society where men are essentially, cis men are essentially given more privileges.
Mm-hmm.
We need to unlearn our misogynistic ideas.
Yep, absolutely. So we wanted to end with our closing thoughts and a few call to actions because we talk about heavy stuff. So we want to have like a beacon of hope instead of just like talking about all the bad things that happen. But for me, in order for me to be a better feminist, is to read more literature from a diverse set of authors. So that means people, women of color, it means transgender women, and people with disabilities, even. Like, you really want to get all perspectives. So for me, though, I only have a few right now. I recommend reading any of Roxane Gay's work, Angela E. Davis's work. And if you want to look at more women who do research on intersectional feminism, go to unwomen.org. And I think my last piece is, really reflect on your language and see like why you say things. For example, why do people all of a sudden started calling women females as if they're a dog or animal? Why do we still call 40-year-old women girls? Weird.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so just take a look and just take a look and call some people out and have that conversation.
I would totally recommend the book What Works for Women at Work. It's by Joan C. Williams and also her daughter, Rachel Dempsey. I think it's also kind of like a self-help type of book, but I think it's just like a really thoughtful perspective about the things that women like struggle with at work, like unique women struggles at work, and also how to overcome them. And yeah, like Davy said, like reflect and also have conversations and use your voice because your voice is where your power comes from. Will you get in trouble for saying some shit? Of course you will. Of course you will. But you always get in trouble for breaking the mold. And I feel like that's some good trouble.
Yes, I was gonna say I love that quote. So
Yeah,
bad
by
trouble, get into good trouble.
exactly. Good trouble is good. It's kind of fun, honestly. We're going to wrap up today's podcast here. We want to hear from you. What are your experiences in the workplace as a woman? And what are your thoughts on the hashtag girlboss and MLMs out there? DM us on Just Two Asian Women podcast on Instagram. Email us at just2asianwomen@gmail.com, or you could comment on our YouTube at Just Two Asian Women.
Yep, and you can also find our podcast on Spotify and Anchor FM and Apple Podcast.
Thank you so much for listening to Just Two Asian Women. If you enjoyed it, we would love if you recommended it to your friends, your family, your cousins, and your great grandparents. That would be really, really cool of you. And you'll hear from us again next week. My name is Carolyn,
And I'm Davi,
and
and we're
we're Just
just
Two
Asian
Asian Women.
women.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.